Welcome to the USA Guts World Championship. My name is Nicholas Jackson. I'll be your commentator here with John Soder.
Welcome, everybody. Today you're going to see the oldest disc sport, guts. And today we're at the World Championship. This is the third leg of three major tournaments, the international tournament, the U.S. national tournament, and then the Worlds. Guts has a long storied history where our oldest tournament is 63 years old this year. So we'll see some history of Guts here. We had co-ed teams along with the inventor of Guts that are best trophies named after, Julius Nakazel. As we go through, we're going to explain the rules. There are a lot of rules that are centered around offense and defense, but also there's a strategy of the game, and me and Nicholas will go through that strategy. So we're going to see some of the players as we go through. There were some historic teams. We're seeing the Cupola Bandits that won numerous tournaments back in the 80s. You're going to see a lot of very fast Frisbees. So you're going to see Frisbees flying as fast as 80 miles an hour. So when we get through this, video, what we're going to do is go into a game of up to 21. And as we go through, we'll talk about how it's scored. So there's two teams that stand 15 yards apart, 5 men on a team who stand an arm's length away. One player will throw, and the only caveat is it has to be reachable by the players. So as we go through, you'll see we kind of set up a rectangle around the players, and it must cross the line. And you'll see the two cones, and there's a line there. The throwing team scores by the catching team not being able to catch it. And the catching team scores by the throwing team throwing it outside of their reach. And here's the first shot from Boomtown.
And it looks like joining us in progress of the Boomtown versus Shuttlebop game, Mark Banghart, Hall of Famer, threw a flat backhand to Keenan Jackson from Albuquerque. Since Keenan was the one thrown at, he will be the one returning the shot. He is throwing. He throws to Will Walden, who ups it to Mike Banghart, caught by Ryan Scott.
So one of the rules of Guts Frisbee is you must catch it with one hand, but you don't have to catch it outright. You can bobble the Frisbee, but you can never touch it with two body parts at the same time. So Boomtown's from Lansing, and Shuttlebot is from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, Calumet.
Ryan winds up, rears back, and lets one rip. Looks like he hit Keenan Jackson again, who pops it up, and Stephen Dudenis from the UP is able to secure the catch. Since Stephen was the one to secure the catch, he will be the one throwing the disc back.
So, Nick, there's an example of the initial person hit the disc up, and then it was brought in by another player. So sometimes, Nick, the strategy is they may want one player to throw it back, so they may even pass it to him.
Way back.
Yes, and some of the best defensive players are able to secure the disc without catching it and then pass it to their teammate. Stephen Dudenis throws what's called a thumber, which breaks from right to the left. He winds up, lets it rip. Mark Banghart and Ryan Scott both get a hand on it, pop it up, and Ryan Scott is able to secure the catch.
So a little history on the two teams. We've got the Boomtown Saints, who are very well established. They've won 6 of our international tournaments and 4 world championships. And they are facing Shuttlebot, which is a young upstart team that has, over the last couple years, progressed up into the rankings to make it to the semifinals here at the Worlds.
And Ryan Scott goes with his turnaround backhand, lets one rip, and Will Blau is able to secure the catch. Will Blau is the captain of the Shuttlebop team and one of the best defensive players on the team.
So far it's been a very defensive game with good catching. So Will Blau will throw back since he's the one that caught.
Will throws a sidearm or a 2-finger. He throws it right at Ryan Scott, who pops it out of the air, and Jeff Banghart is able to secure it.
So one of the things at the start of this game, they did flip the disc, and the winner can decide if they want to throw first or if they want the win. And Nick, the win's a big factor in these games.
Yes, there's been a lot of gusting back and forth. Jeff throws a backhand low at Keenan Jackson, knocks him over. He's unable to pop it up for his team to gather around. That is a point for Boomtown.
Yep. So that's the first score of the game. So
That was the second. We missed one right away, so it is 1-1. We are tied up. And it looks like Keenan Jackson is getting ready with his backhand. He takes his approach, lets one rip, and it hits Will Walden. Pops it up to Michael Banghart, who's unable to pop it back up to his team. That's a point for the Shuttlebop.
So we have 2-1 Shuttlebot over Boomtown. So Boomtown is loaded with a lot of stars. They're a very good offensive and defensive team. So we're going to see Will Walton, who has a myriad of shots. So we'll see he can throw a sidearm, he can throw a flipper or a backhand. So depending on the wind and who he's going after, he may change his shot throughout the game.
And it looks like Will is preparing his backhand. So just a classic flat shot. He's going to rip, lets it go, and that is caught outright or bagged by Keenan Jackson from Albuquerque.
So remember, as we went through the rules, that a catch is not a point. So there's no point for that. So we remain 2 for Shuttlebot, 1 for Boomtown. So Keenan Jackson is a pickup for the Shuttlebot team. He is from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
As he rips a backhand, Ryan Scott's able to up it, and it goes out the back, and the Mark Banghart heading out the back is unable to chase it down. And that's another point for the Shuttlebop.
So we have 3 for Shuttlebot, 1 for Boomtown. So there is another strategy. Sometimes they like to see a player.
Ryan Scott throws the sidearm, hits Keenan Jackson again. It looks like they found the guy that they like to try to pick on and make him keep throwing back to him.
Yep. So they may like his shot or feel that he is easier to score on. So that's why they may kind of zero in on Keenan. So here we go with Shuttlebot 3, Boomtown 2.
And Keenan throws a backhand. Ryan Scott able to pop it to himself, and then he secures the catch.
So that score remains because of the catch. Shuttlebot 3, Boomtown 2. So Ryan is a multi-world champion. We'll see. He's got a couple shots too.
Throws a sidearm, lets it rip. It looks like Will Blau popped it up in the air. Al Nettle bobbles it to himself, unable to secure the catch. That is a point for the Boomtown Saints.
So we're all locked up, Nick, at 3-3. So there's an example of, a situation where the disc went up and they just weren't able to get what we call a bobble or the tip.
So Will Blau throwing his sidearm. He typically can go anywhere. Sometimes he'll line up on a man and then shoot it on the other side of the court. Lets one rip. It's a high shot. Boomtown is calling it high. Shuttlebop agrees. So in that case, Boomtown receives a point because they threw an illegal shot.
So a little review of the rules again. Since they missed it and Will Blau was the first one to hit the disc, he had to throw it back. And as I mentioned earlier, the throwing team must throw a catchable throw, and that's where that was too high.
So we got Ryan Scott with his sidearm. Hits Steven Dudenis in the hand. It goes out the back, and Al pops it up. Al Nettle unable to secure the catch. That's a point for the Boomtown Saints. A good effort by Shuttlebop.
So now we have Shuttlebop 5, Boomtown 3. Boomtown 5, Shuttlebot 3.
Listen in, man. All right, that's right. All right.
Okay, this is our first time seeing Steve Dudenis. He has a very effective shot. He throws what we call a thumber, right, Nick?
Yes. On Saturdays, typically he throws a backhand, saves his thumber, which breaks very hard. Saves that for Sunday when the later games are more important. So he winds up, cocks back, throws it. Ryan Scott gets a little piece of it. It shoots out the back. No one's able to chase it down. That's a point for Shuttlebop.
So again, from a strategy point of view, a thumber is a very accurate shot. So one of the upsides of Steve, he can hit who he wants or who Shuttlebot wants them to throw back. And that was a very effective shot. But unfortunately, they have Ryan Scott, one of the best players in the game, throwing back.
And Ryan looks like he's about to throw a backhand this time. Turns around, rips it. Shuttlebop is calling it outside. Boomtown agrees. So being a bad shot, that gives Shuttlebop a point, and Shuttlebop gets to elect who they want to return the throw. And the score is currently 5-5. And we are going to see Steven Dudenis probably returning a thumber. We'll see if he wants to pick on Ryan, who just threw the bad shot.
Yep. So again, they since they get a pick, they think they want to go with the accurate shot. So they may have somebody in mind.
And Steven rears back, lets her rip, hits between Mark Banghart and Ryan Scott. Mark's able to pop it right into Ryan's outstretched hand, and that is no point for the catch. We're still at 5-5.
So Boomtown's a very good team, as I mentioned earlier, offensively and defensively. They are very good at, once the Frisbee's up, they circle it and make sure they catch it.
And sidearm rips it. Ryan rips it right at Keenan Jackson. And that is a good point right past his outstretched arm. And we have got 6-5 in favor of Boomtown Saints. And that's the switch. So now they switch sides.
So we just saw a replay. They saw Ryan rear back with his sidearm, his two finger, and he go ahead and throw it right by Carter Nettle and Steve Dudenis. So we now see the team switch. So the game is up to 21. You must win by 2. And since win's such a factor, the teams do change sides every 11 cumulative points. So we're at 6-5 Boomtown. So we're going to change in the wind direction or change sides. So now Keenan Jackson is going to be throwing from the other side, which may benefit his two finger because he's got a little wind behind him, Nick.
And it looks like he's electing to go with the backhand instead of the two finger right now. So he rears back, lets one rip. Will Walden able to get a little bit of a hand on it, but Ryan pretty much catches that one straight out of the air. That is no point for the catch, and a very nice catch by the Boomtown Saints.
So it looks like Ryan's getting a lot of action here. We're seeing him throw quite a bit today. So it looks like they're going either at Ryan or near Ryan with their strategy.
It looks like Ryan elects to throw his backhand here. He turns around, winds up, lets one rip. Steven Dudenis gets a pop in the air. It goes out the back, and chasing Al Nettle is unable to run it down. That's a point for the Shuttlebop, bringing us to 7-5.
So just a little more strategy. So we have 5 individuals. Each has a role. Typically, you'll see the end men run back to try and get a Frisbee that may go through the line and catch a tip. And the guys in the center more go forward for the disc. So you'll see them circle the disc and after the throw, and there's a tip.
Steven Dudenis cocks back, getting ready to throw his thumber. Lets one rip, and it hits Ryan Scott straight up, gets a palm on it, and it shoots straight down into the ground. They are unable to secure the catch. It is 7-5 in favor of 7-6 in favor of the Boomtown Saints.
So we'll see Ryan has a backhand and a two finger. So we'll see, throws his two finger when he wants to be more accurate.
And you'll see Ryan got a good hand on it, but was unable to pop it in the air. Didn't give his team enough time to get under it. Ryan Scott reaches back, whips a backhand, hits Keenan Jackson, which hits him in the hand, falls to the ground. That's a point for Boomtown. And that'll bring us to 8-6. And it looks like Shuttlebop wants to pick on Ryan Scott right now, and Boomtown likes the way Keenan's shot looks. And Will Blau throwing back, throws a two finger. Mark Banghart, outstretched arm, hits it, goes flying out the back. That's a point for Shuttlebop.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shot. Some of the best shots are either high or low. That was really a good high shot that's very difficult to kind of catch or also pop up.
And Mark Banghart, the Hall of Famer, he throws a backhand, very accurate. He can really hit anywhere on the line, and you never know when it's coming to you. So he lines up, cocks back, lets one rip. And it hits Steven Dudenis, who pops it up to Keenan Jackson, who passes it to Carter Nettle. Keenan really wanted Carter to shoot, Boomtown is saying that that Keenan caught it before he passed it. He had it under control before he passed it. You'll see him throw and the pop to the teammate. And hits him in the hand, pops it to Keenan. Keenan tries to pass it. They're saying that he had control of it before he passed it, so Keenan, since he caught it, will be throwing back. Keenan rips it, hits Ryan Scott in the hand, passes it over to Will Waldens, who's able to secure the catch.
So that's 2 catches in a row, so we still remain 8-7 in favor of Boomtown.
And Will's really got 2 throws that he likes to throw. He likes to throw a backhand, and he's also got a flipper shot, which the disc starts upside down when he releases it, but since it flips over right side up, by the time it hits the line, it is a good shot when he releases it. We'll see which one he likes to throw on this.
Yeah, the wind's a factor, and also this type of shot Will chooses to throw. He's throwing his flipper, which usually he throws against the wind because it has time to flip.
He lets it go. You'll see that it kind of goes vertical and then tips the correct way. Steven Dudenis able to bag that one straight out of the air, secures the catch for Shuttlebop.
So, Nick, one of the other rules of the game is from the throwing team, the disc must not go over 90 degrees. So the disc cannot be upside down. In that case, as Nick mentioned, the disc started upside down but ended up at the line less than 90 degrees.
All right, Steven Dudenis getting ready with his thumber. Lets one rip, hits between Mark Banghart and Ryan Scott, and we've got a chasing Jeff Banghart, unable to run it down. Point for Shuttlebop.
And there's another example of throwing outside of the catch zone very high.
And we've got 8-8. And Boomtown will be shooting back. And it looks like Mark Banghart was the first to get his hand on it, so he'll be the one to throw back. He's throwing his flat backhand, lets one rip. Steven Dudenis makes it look easy, just snatches it right out of the air.
I think we can see their strategy now, Nick. Boomtown definitely thinks they can handle Steve's shot, so we'll see what happens.
Our score is still at 8-8 with that catch. Oh, again, no points are awarded for a catch. And Steven, the accurate summer. We'll see if, since they're picking on him, if they can answer with a catch. He lets another one rip. Ryan Scott able to up it to Mark Banghart, one step in the backfield, able to secure the catch.
So it looks like they're starting to get a beat on his shot. Maybe we'll see him go away.
And here you see Ryan getting a little up. Mark makes it look easy, just taking one step backwards.
So there's a good example of the team surrounding the Frisbee just in case Mark didn't get it.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see if Mark wants to continue going after Steven or if he likes something else. He lets one rip. Hits Keenan high. Keenan's able to pop it up to Steven Dudenis. Yet again, no points awarded. That is 8-8. And Steven will be throwing back. We'll see if he still likes Mark.
So that's 4 catches in a row.
You bet.
So Boomtown's a very strong lineup. They haven't changed their lineup since we started.
All right, so here's Steven Dudenis. Another thumber. Lets one rip. Goes right past Michael Banghart and Mark Banghart. And it looks like Mark got a piece of it.
So there's Steve's shot outside of the catch zone. Very high, difficult to catch. So now we're at 9-8 Shuttlebot.
And Mark Banghart winds up his backhand, lets one rip. Now it looks like they pick on Al. He ups it, passes it to Will Blau, who settles it, and passes it over to Carter Nettle. Shuttlebop really likes the way Carter throws his thumber, so they're passing it to him because they believe he's going to be able to score points on Boomtown.
And Nick, this is one of the best thumbers in the game. Carter throws very accurately, but also, as we're going to see, he throws the Frisbee disc very quickly.
And with Carter's shot, a lot of the times, the wind is a huge factor because it makes it dance in the wind. You'll see when he winds up that there's some movement on it. And he throws it high. Boomtown says it's high. Shuttlebop agrees. That's a point for Boomtown, being a bad shot.
And now we're at 9-9, so they're all tied up. Boomtown 9, Shuttlebot 9.
And it looks like Boomtown gets to elect their thrower. They choose Michael Banghart, who's got a few very nice shots. My guess is that he's probably going to throw his very fast backhand here. It looks like he's gripping the disc as he is. And he does his turnaround backhand. Let's one rip. Will Blau able to soak it. Soaks up their best shot. Makes it look easy. That's why he's the captain.
So teams are allowed to readjust their lineup throughout the game. As far as the 5 players, they can only do substitutions at each of the switches. So you might see them move players around according to the shot or who they want to get the frisbee.
Sidearm from Will. Looks like he aced Mark Banghart and Ryan Scott. An ace is when he throws it through the line. It's a good shot, and it doesn't touch anyone. So Shuttlebop gets to choose between those two people which person they would like to throw back. They elect Mark Banghart because they think they've got a bead on his throw.
So now we have a Shuttlebot score. So it's 10 for Shuttlebot, 9 for Boomtown.
And yet again, we get to see a Mark Banghart backhand. Shuttlebop's getting ready on the line. And here comes Mark. Lets it go. Will Blau runs out front to secure the bag. A clean catch straight out of the air. That's no point for either team. But Will Blau really seems to be taking over when they're throwing to him. So the score remains at 10-9 in favor of Shuttlebot. And Will Blau throws a very accurate 2-finger, so he's going to hit his guy, whomever they want to hit. Throws it right at Mark Banghart, pops it up. Michael Banghart and Ryan Scott both able to play with each other and secure the catch. Ryan Scott will be throwing back.
So there's a good example of Mark got the disc thrown at him several times, and now he's starting to get a bead on it. So he put that up, and Ryan secured the catch.
And it looks like Ryan elects to throw his turnaround backhand yet again. Tears it through the line. Keenan's able to pop it up, flying out the back. Al Nettle able to run down that disc, and we will get to see Al throw.
So there's a good example. As we mentioned earlier, the end man, his main objective is to watch the back of the field. So Al immediately after it was hit up was running back, and he secured that catch.
So Al also likes to throw a backhand. We'll see. He's pretty accurate. We'll see who he likes to throw at, see if it's still Mark Banghart. This time he throws at Will Walden on the opposite end of Mark. Will's able to bag it right out of the air, so we'll see if he is going to throw his backhand or his flipper.
So we see a replay here. It's the straight out catch by Will Walden.
And those are one of the most dangerous plays because if they throw it wide, it will be a dump and a point for Boomtown. But at the same time, if they throw a good shot, Will has no support on that outside hand. So it's a high risk, high reward shot to throw it out there. Will cocks back his backhand, throws it, popped up by Keenan. Will Blau able to pop it out front, and no one's able to secure the catch. So it was a good effort by Shuttlebop, but a point for Boomtown on that. And the score is 10-10.
And my cousin.
And Keenan Jackson will be throwing back.
Very good effort by Will Blau to try and secure that tip.
Party back.
So we've got another backhand. Keenan throws it. It looks like Will popped it up. Diving Michael Banghart, unable to secure the catch.
So you can see Boomtown's been moving their lineup around a little bit. That time they had Will Walton in the center. So they're hoping that thinking that they would go at him and that they had people surrounding him.
And Will's throwing a backhand this time. Lets one go. And Keenan Jackson is able to secure the catch.
Again, a couple straight catches. So we're Shuttlebot scored on the last one. So we have Shuttlebot 11, Boomtown 10.
And we get to see Keenan Jackson a lot this game. Here's another backhand from him. Pops it right to Will Walden, pops it up twice. Michael Banghart able to catch the disc, and that's who they want throwing back. So the score is still 11-10 in favor of Shuttlebop. We'll see if Michael can even the score here.
Big pound.
Shuttlebot's been going with the same lineup.
And it looks like Michael is about to throw a... Was that a flipper, John?
Yes, it was. Mike Bankard has a myriad of shots. There we saw his flipper, and that is another cumulative 11, so it's 11-11, and the teams will switch again. So as I mentioned earlier, they do have the opportunity to exchange players at this point, but it looks like they're both going to keep the same players. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll...
And welcome back to Livonia, Michigan for the USA Guts World Championship. Already in progress, we are tied 11-11 in a race to 21, win by 2, between the Boomtown Saints and the Shuttlebop out of the UP, Michigan. Will Blau winds up his two-finger, lets one rip. Mike Banghart able to pop it out front. Diving Ryan Scott's unable to catch it. That's a point for Shuttlebop. We're at 12-11 in favor of Shuttlebop.
So now we're starting to see the strategy take place. Shuttlebot is kind of staying inside, making sure that they're scoring points and playing a little bit safe. But Mike Bankard is not the guy you want throwing back, Nick.
No, he's not. He's got one of the fastest shots in the game. Here you'll see a backhand. He lets one rip. Keenan Jackson's able to pop it up, goes flying out the back.
And there's another example of throwing it outside of the catch zone. So it's very high and when those high shots, it's very hard to get a good hand on those.
Absolutely. What they call the bag zone is between the shoulders and the knees.
And we see a replay. You can see that even on it was high, but it was also the disc was rising on top of being in a perfect spot.
And Keenan Jackson throws one, gets popped up by Michael Banghart. His father, Mark Banghart, running out the back, is able to secure the catch. We'll see another backhand coming back from Mark. Right now the score is tied at 12s.
Yes, that's it.
So again, this is the semifinals. The Appleton Assassins from Appleton, Wisconsin are waiting in the wings to play the winner of this game.
Actually,
And Mark releases his backhand, hits Keenan Jackson. Carter Nettle flying out the back is able to secure the catch. We'll get to see another thumber.
I think this is who Shuttlebot would prefer throwing back.
Absolutely. They really like the look of this thumber. Last time they passed it to Carter.
Yeah, it was very good teamwork there, surrounding the disc, reacting quickly to the tip.
And we'll see who Carter wants to pick on. A lot of footwork when he does his run-up. And you'll see this will break from his left to his right. Hits Mark Banghart right in the gut. And it hit two body parts at the same time on Mark. So that is an illegal trap. And that's a point for Shuttlebop.
So remember, our review of the rules is the disc must be caught with one hand, or if it's caught off of tips, the disc must never hit two body parts at the same time. And there we saw Mark hit both of his legs at the same time.
And Mark throws his backhand. Keenan Jackson able to secure the catch. Bags it right out. The score is 13-12 in favor of Shuttlebop. We'll see if Keenan can add to that lead.
So as we start getting into this game, Keenan's one of his strengths is he's the straight out catcher. He's a very good offensive player, but his defense really separates him from a lot of players.
And we just saw Keenan rip a backhand. Goes right between Mike Banghart and Will Walden. It looks like Mike Banghart got a piece of it. We've got 14-12 in favor of Shuttlebop. But Boomtown does have Michael throwing back, and this is who they want throwing. Very accurate, very fast.
So the reason Mike Bankhart is throwing the disc back is he was the first one to touch it without the team catching it.
And we'll see his backhand here. Does a turnaround, lets it go. And it looks like Carter got a pop. Everyone's flying with it. Keenan Jackson able to secure the catch. Keenan's getting a lot of action.
So again,
today,
here's
John.
a good example on the replay of the team reacting to the tip. So the disc is up, and the team surrounding the disc and makes the catch.
And a lot of the time at high levels, you'll see the whole team swarm to the disc. Very good teamwork. Keenan rips a backhand. Will gets a little chunk of it, and it goes flying out the back. No one's back there to secure that. We've got a score of 15-12 in favor of Shuttlebop.
So we saw a couple good examples of the disc thrown outside of the catch zone. There's a prime example of a disc that's thrown very high, difficult to catch. So I think Boomtown really needs to get a point here, Nick.
Absolutely.
Can't let it get out of hand anymore.
They need to stop the momentum of Shuttlebop, and what they can do is score to stop that. Looks like we'll see a backhand this time as Will has switched sides, and so has the wind. He rips it, goes right past an outstretched arm of Will Blau. Looks like Will got a little chunk of it, so we're going to see his two-finger coming back.
Yeah, they really needed that point. So now we're at 15-13 in favor of Shuttlebot. Very good throw by Will there. So we'll see who they're going to go at on this one.
And Will's getting ready with his two-finger. Throws it. Mark Banghart able to bag it out of the air. Makes it look easy. You can tell he's been doing this for a few years.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. So now Mark's got to, again, as we saw earlier, he can put that disc anywhere. So we'll see. Certainly they have a strategy here to try and close this and get a little bit closer.
We've got 15-13 in favor of Shuttlebop still. Mark throws a backhand. Will's able to pop it up from one hand into the other. Boomtown's asking if there was a trap, which is, remember, two body parts at the same time.
It was a trap.
It was a trap. Will Blau confirms. You'll see.
Yep, there it is, right there where he got it into his hand and his bicep at the same time. We do consider those two body parts. So we'll see it again, and there's two body parts. And you can see the disc momentarily stop there. That's usually an indication that there was some kind of a trap when we see that momentary kind of stoppage of the disc.
So Will Blau threw back at Will Walden, and Will Walden was able to secure the catch, bagged it straight up. So it is now still 15-14 in favor of Shuttlebop, and we're going to see Will Walden's backhand coming back at Shuttlebop. He lets it go, and Will Blau pops it up. Keenan Jackson goes to a knee and secures the catch.
Boy, Nick, that was good reaction time to the disc by Keenan there.
Keenan's a very good player. He's been playing for years down in Albuquerque. Actually, the team that Albuquerque brought last year won the World Championship, and they took the trophy back. Unfortunately, he was the only one to be able to come up from Albuquerque this year, but it looks like he landed in a good team. Lets his backhand go. Soars right past Will Walden and Ryan Scott. We'll see if someone got a hand on it. Looks like Will got a little chunk of it, so he'll be thrown back. The score is 16-14 in favor of Shuttlebop. You'll see the rip, and barely touched, just scoots right by both players.
So one of the things when you throw a backhand, you really want to get a lot of momentum on that disc. You can see he uses his shoulder, his hips, so he really kind of gets his whole body in there to get the disc over the line.
And you see Will rip one.
So that is, as we mentioned earlier, there's another rule clarification that there is a line, so you can see that there is a cone, but there's a white line there, and the disc must go over that line to be a good shot. So that'd be a point for Shuttlebot. So now we have
17-14 in favor of Shuttlebop. Now Shuttlebop's really got him in on the ropes here. They've got the 3-point lead, and they're going to try to make it 4. They get to choose who they get thrown back, so Carter Nettle is the shot they elect. Remember, he's got the breaking lefty thumber, and we'll see who he wants to pick on. Lets one rip. Soars right past Will Walden's outstretched outside arm.
So now we're at 18-14 in favor of Shuttlebot. So one more point, We'll get to 33, and then we'll have a switch. 18-14 in favor of Shuttlebot.
So we'll get to see another backhand from Will Walden. With the wind soaring the way it is, he's not confident in that flip over shot turning in this wind. So he's going to rip his backhand yet again. Very accurate, very high, but a perfect shot goes right past Keenan Jackson. We've got 18-15 in favor of Shuttlebop after that point from Boomtown.
So good thing that disc went over Keenan. That he's got the long reach, so he made it good by reaching up and touching that frisbee, that disc, and it went right through.
Absolutely. On a shorter player, that would have been a high shot, but when you shoot at the tall guys, sometimes you get that advantage.
So now Boomtown really has to bear down. Game up to 21. We got 18-15 in favor of Shuttlebot. With the game up to 21, Boomtown can't afford to just trade points here. They really need to get a couple of catches and get some points.
I'm just saying.
18-15 Shuttlebot, and they've got the disc.
And Keenan is about to throw another backhand. He winds up, lets it go. Michael Banghart swings at it, and that was not a good mark, and it was right past his outstretched hand, so that's another point for Shuttlebop, bringing us to 19-15. And with that, Shuttlebop has them right where they want them, but these veterans are not out of it yet. We'll see if Michael can return the favor and soar one right past him.
As we mentioned, Boomtown is a 6-time international champion and 4-time world champion. They're not going to go easy.
Looks like Michael is getting ready with either a flipper or a staker. He's throwing his flipper, flips over, right past Al Nettles' outstretched arm, soars safely to the ground. That's another point. That's 19-16 in favor of Shuttlebop. We'll see if Boomtown can put up the wall and get a catch here. And you'll see him release with the disc upside down. Once it crosses the line, it flips over, and it's really hard to track, especially in the wind. It likes to dance. We'll see Al throwing his backhand, whips it. Will Walden and Michael Banghart reach out for it. Someone got a piece of it. Looks like it was Will. Falls to the ground. Now we've got game point at 20-16 in favor of Shuttlebop. Shuttlebop wants to get a catch, wants to score a point, and take themselves to the championship match.
So we're at a position that, when that one team has 20, you start to get them to the point of do or die. So we'll see Will Walton. He's really got to be accurate with this one.
And even though Will switched sides where before he was throwing the flipper, now he's going to stick with the backhand because he trusts that shot more. Lets it rip. Hits Steven Dudenis in the outside hand. Steven pops it up to himself, goes near the crowd, and he's able to secure the catch. Leaving it at 20-16 in favor of Shuttlebop. Those are the kind of plays that get you hyped up as a team. So you'll see them congratulating each other. The game's not over though. They need to secure one more point.
So
they're probably Steven's probably gonna throw a shot that he thinks will score. It doesn't matter who he hits as long as he scores a point because the game will be over. So you never know who he'll go at for game point.
What?
So in this, he may be a little more free with the disc and not necessarily hit the guy because he really just wants a point here, right, Nick?
Absolutely. He just wants to get him off the field as soon as possible. Sometimes guys just like to throw right down the middle for game point. So he winds up, lets it rip, pops it up to Will. Jeff puts it in play. Will dives, unable to secure the catch. That's game for Shuttlebop. It is 21-16 is our final score here. The Boomtown Saints get knocked out, and they take third place for the U.S. Guts World Championship in 2018.
So let's take a look at that last point.
And you'll see Will gets a good pop on it, gets his hand out. Michael also assists, pops it up in the air. Jeff gets his finger on the underside of the disc, keeps it in play. Will dives for it and just passes outstretched arms. A very good effort by Will, getting the initial contact and trying to make that catch at the end. Unfortunately, unable to secure it for Boomtown's sake. An excellent show of guts from both teams.
So we're going to go on break, and when we come back, the Shuttlebot will be facing the Appleton Assassins from Wisconsin.
And we're back at the USA Guts World Championship, and we're here at the finals between the Appleton Assassins from Appleton, Wisconsin, and Shuttlebop out of the UP. Most of them are from Calumet, Michigan, and the Houghton Hancock area.
So Shuttlebot has another task at hand. The Assassins are also a well-accomplished team, winning 8 national championships, several world championships, and the international tournament championships. So Shuttlebot, again, is up against one of the strongest teams that we have in this sport.
And John, Shuttlebop right now, with all their youth and being up-and-comers, remind me of where the Appleton Assassins were about 5 years ago when they started their hot streak and started winning all their tournaments.
Yeah, they had to rise through the ranks themselves, but they're on top of their game now.
So the Appleton Assassins won the flip. They will elect to throw first. It looks like Shuttlebop has chosen their side. It looks like we're going to see the same lineup for Shuttlebop from left to right. We've got Stephen Dudennis, Keenan Jackson, Will Blau, Carter Nettle, Al Nettle, and John Lutke throws a backhand. It looks like Carter is able to up it to Keenan Jackson, who secures the catch.
So let's introduce the Assassins now.
So on the Assassins line, from left to right, we've got Adam Swanson, Josh Tews. We'll probably see Paul Liu from Taiwan right in the middle. Then we've got John Lutke, and we've got Alex Tews on the far right.
This is a solid lineup with all good defensive and offensive players. They know their way around the disc.
And Keenan Jackson throws his backhand, rips it right at Paul Liu, pops it out. Captain Josh Tews able to dive out front and secure the catch.
I think as we go through this match, Nick, we're going to see how Assassins are one of the best teams. When the disc is hit up, they really know where it's going, and they get around that disc.
Absolutely, you'll see a lot of the times 4 or 5 guys around the disc at every catch. Josh Tews throws a lefty backhand, so it breaks a little bit different than the other ones we've been seeing here. He turns around, lets it rip, hits Carter Nettle below the knee, tries to kick it up, unable to kick it into Will Blau's hand. That's a point for the Appleton Assassins. We are at 1-0 in favor of Appleton.
So this is a 2 out of 3 match, and the winner must win 2 games out of the 3. So the Assassins made their way here through winning all of their games up until now, so they went through the winner's bracket. Shuttlebot did have to come through the loser's bracket and got here by beating Boomtown to earn the right into the finals.
So we'll see a lefty thumber from Carter again. He lets it rip. Paul Liu pops it up. 2 people out the back. Adam Swanson and Alex Tews both unable to run it down. It goes flying out the back. That's a point for the Shuttlebop, bringing us to 1-1 tie game.
Yeah, there's not many holes down there on the Assassin side. You really have to be accurate and make sure that you're not throwing in the catch zone, because all of the players can catch that disc. So we're going to see Paul Liu throw it back. And as Nick mentioned, he is from Taiwan.
And there you saw the rip. And Paul Liu able to pop it up, but not enough to get his team time to catch it. He rips a backhand, hits Keenan Jackson and Will Blau. Looks like Will got a hand on it first, so he's going to be the guy we get to see throw back. That's a point for Appleton Assassins, and that's 2-1 in favor of Appleton.
So I think, Nick, what we're going to look forward to in this game is a lot of catching, very fast offensive throws from both teams.
Absolutely. A lot of good defense, too. Here's the 2-finger, throws it. Josh Tews pops it up. Alex Tews keeps it in play, passes it over to John Lutke, who's able to catch the disc.
So one of the other things at the end of the tournament, not only will we be rewarding the World Championship trophy, but we do have a Most Valuable Player trophy as well. So a lot of these players are looking to kind of really show themselves today, and it's a very coveted trophy to try and get that Most Valuable Player.
Absolutely. John Lutke's backhand takes a little dip halfway across the line and hits Will Blau in the hand, but it falls to the ground. That's another point for the Appleton Assassins. We're at 3-1 in favor of Appleton. Appleton's core team is consisted of Alex Tews, Josh Tews, John Lutke, and Adam Swanson. They have Paul Liu filling in for him out of Taiwan. So look for Paul to be the target here as he pops one up, and Adam Swanson's able to secure the catch.
So remember, these teams are 15 yards apart. 5 players on each team stand an arm length apart. They must throw a good shot, meaning that it crosses the line, so you can see at the line with the 2 pylons, but also it must not be too high or too wide.
And Adam Swanson throws a righty thumber. So again, you'll see a nice breaking shot. This is very smooth coming out of Adam's hand. He lets one rip, and it aces between both Nettles, Carter Nettle and Al Nettle. Looks like it was very close to Al, or else he got a piece of it. But Al will be throwing back. That's another point for the Appleton Assassins.
Boy, that was right out of that catch zone, which we talked about before. Very hard to catch up there.
Absolutely. 4-1 in favor of the Assassins. We're going to see Al Nettle. A lot of the times the Assassins like to throw at Al because they like to see a shot coming back. He pulls a backhand, goes high. Adam swats at it, unable to touch it. That's a point for Shuttlebop, bringing us to 4-2 in favor of Shuttlebop. Or in favor of at least the Assassins, I apologize.
So as you're watching, there is strategy in this game. There are certain players that they may like their shot or feel that their defense may not be adequate for their shot. So there is strategy. So you may see them, picking on a player because that's the player they think they have the best chance to win.
And we'll see if they go back after Al after they just got an ace on him. Adam Swanson, another thumber, lets one rip. Al, this time with a big paw, pops it out front to his nephew, Carter Nettle. But Carter's unable to secure the catch, and it falls to the ground. We're going to see Al throwing back again, and it is a 5-2 game in favor of the Assassins right now.
So again, game's up to 21. You must win by 2. Players can shift around on the line anytime during good.
And we're going to see this backhand does a turnaround, hits it up to Adam Swanson. Josh Chu's able to run it down, going near the crowd. That's a good job of movement by Josh. And it looks like Al would rather shoot at that outside hand to try to keep it away from the rest of the team. So they're shooting at Adam while he's out there.
So the teams can shift their lineup at each shot, but they can't shift players in and out other than the switches, which is every cumulative 11.
So we've got a lefty backhand. He turns around, lets it go. Will Blau frustrated himself as it aced right past him, and he was unable to get a hand on it.
There's a good example. Josh Tews backhand. We probably think that's coming in about 75 miles an hour, Nick.
That's probably about right. Very snappy. He makes it look so smooth and fluid that it doesn't even look like he's trying, but man, that thing is cruising.
So that made it 6-2 Assassins.
And Will throws a 2-finger, hits Alex Tews, big brother of Josh Tews, and he's able to bang it outright. I would say that Alex is probably the moral leader of this team. He is the one that gets hyped up when they're winning, and he's the most vocal on the team.
Yeah, so we see going back to the lineup with the Al on the end over there this time.
And Alex throws a backhand, hits Will Blau, pops it up to Keenan Jackson. Keenan able to secure the catch. It is still 6-2 in favor of the Assassins, but the disc is now in Shuttlebop's hands. So we're going to see Keenan throw another backhand. He lets one go, throws it right at Josh Tews, who's able to soak the disc. A lot of the times, teams don't try to throw right at Josh Tews. I'm wondering if he tried to shoot at Paul Liu right there in the middle, but just missed by a little bit and hit Josh Tews.
Yep, so now we have Josh throwing the disc back. Josh is very accurate. As I mentioned earlier, the way that the catching team scores is through the throwing team throwing it out of bounds.
And here we see the lefty backhand, throws it high. Al's able to pop it up in the air and tries to run it down himself. Unable to do so, it falls to the ground, as does Al. That is 7-2 in favor of the Assassins.
So I think Shuttlebot's really got to kind of stop the bleeding here. They need a couple of points, so we may start seeing them try to zero in on somebody they think they can kind of exploit here.
Absolutely. A lot of the times you'll see the team that's down by a few start to shoot a few different people, see who they like, see who they're comfortable with. So we'll see who Al goes to here. Turns around, lets one rip. He likes his outside guy. Very high, but a perfect shot right over Adam Swanson's outstretched hand. He gets a little chunk of it. That's how you know it's a good shot. And the score is now 7-2.
Yeah, you can see that in the replay. That's the second time he threw it pretty much in the disc in that exact same spot. Very hard to catch up there.
So we're going to see a thumber coming back, righty thumber, very accurate. We'll see who they like to pick on. Is it still Al? Lets it rip. Al Nettle pops it up in the air. Steven Dudenis out the back, goes for the catch, and unable to secure it, pops back up and falls to the ground.
So now that's a point for the Assassins, 8-3. So mentioned earlier, they switch after the score equals 11.
And here comes, you'll see the pop-up, and Steven Dudenis takes off early. You see, he's right in position to make this catch. He goes up with his hand to secure it, and he comes up with an empty hand. A very great hustle play by him, but he's unable to secure the disc in his hand.
But they really need to catch those if they're going to come back against the Assassins. So we're going to take a quick break, and we come back. We'll see the teams on the separate sides, and we'll continue.
And welcome back to Rotary Field in Livonia, Michigan, where we see the U.S. Guts World Championship Finals in action right now. We've got the Appleton Assassins with 8 points, Shuttlebop with 3 points, and we will have Al Nettle returning the disc. He is going to be throwing his backhand, and we'll see if he's still poking to figure out who he likes, or we'll see if he goes right back at Adam Swanson, who he was able to score on before. He lets one rip. Adam Swanson marks it, calling it outside, and Shuttlebop agrees. That is a wide shot. That gives a point to the Assassins.
So there's an example of kind of creating that rectangle around a person. So that was outside from Adam Swanson, was outside of that rectangle.
And that's one of the risky parts of throwing at that outside man, outside hand. Yes, he's got no help, but it's very easy to throw a bad shot there.
So now we have 9-3 in favor of the Assassins.
John Lutke, a man of all shots, throws a backhand right very low at Keenan Jackson, knocks him over, disc falls to the ground, and we've got 10-3. It looks like the Appleton Assassins have the Shuttlebop right where they want him, and it looks like they're able to, they're trying to pick this team apart and slowly make their lead greater, and Keenan's going to throw back. We'll see if they can catch him. Paul Liu with the pop to Adam Swanson. That's another catch from Appleton.
So this is, again, 2 out of 3 match. We have, and here's a replay.
You'll see Paul Liu gets the up, and the disc is floating in the air. Adam backpedaling. See, the end that Adam is on, that's called the square end because of the way the disc rotates. So Paul was able to put a hand on it. Adam, having squared off with his shoulders looking down the line, is able to back up and just secure that catch. He lets that thumber rip. Carter Nettle able to pop it up. Al Nettle running it down, able to secure the catch. Wow, Shuttlebop really needed that catch there.
Yeah, they really need that. They need to kind of get some points, so they really need to start to kind of pick at the areas they think they can get their best advantage. So we'll see what they do. They went at Paul last time. We'll see what they do this time, Nick.
And Al really likes that outside. It looks like he was going for Adam Swanson. Captain Josh Tews down on his knees, able to secure the catch, and makes it look easy. Soaks that one right up. And you'll see, just drops down to his knees, tracks it all the way into his hand. Man, he makes it look so easy, doesn't he?
All right, so we really need to catch here, Nick. This is kind of getting out of hand on the Shuttlebot side.
So we've got a lefty backhand, nice turnaround, smooth, lets it rip. We've got a pop-up by Carter, a flying Steven Dudenis, unable to run down the disc. That's another point for the Assassins, 11-3.
So here's an example where they've caught Al a couple times. He had his way with him a little bit, but they caught him a couple times, and they feel this is their best chance.
Absolutely, and a lot of the times in Guts, what you try to do is, if something starts to work, you try to keep poking at it, and keep that momentum rolling, and it seems like they've found their stride there. And Al able to throw it right past Adam Swanson. He gets a little chunk on it, but doesn't buy his teammates enough time for Alex Tews and John Lutke to run it down. So that's a point for Shuttlebop, bringing us to 11-4. Finally, Shuttlebop gets that 4th point.
All right, let's see if they can start getting their defense. They're playing well offensively. They just really need to get that defense working.
Absolutely. And a veteran team like the Appleton Assassins could just turn it on at will. So here comes the righty thumber. Lets one rip. Keenan Jackson able to pop it up. A diving will blow. Unable to secure the catch. That's another point for Appleton. And that brings us to 12-4 for the Appleton Assassins. We'll see a replay of the very fast shot. Outstretched hand. You'll see it fall into the ground. Here comes a diving will blow, and he almost grabs it. And as he dives, it falls to the ground.
Well, they're definitely starting to slow that disc down a little bit on the shuttlebot side.
And Keenan throws one right past Josh Tewes' outstretched hand. That'll be 12-5 in favor of Appleton again. And we'll see them lining up for their shot. And Josh goes for it, and it just goes right over his hand. He gets a little chunk of it, but not enough to buy his team some time. And here comes Josh back with the throw. Lets one rip. Carter pops it up. Keenan grabs at it, unable to secure it, and it falls to the ground.
Boy, shuttlebot's really getting a good first hand.
And we've got 13-5 in favor of Appleton. And man, Shuttlebop seems to be right in the right place to make all these plays. But unfortunately, a couple of those out the back have just fallen to the ground.
Yeah, they need to start picking those up. So we'll see. They're definitely getting that first initial good hit. Here comes Carter, Nick.
Yeah, Carter with that lefty thumber that we've seen so often. He lets one rip. Paul Liu able to get a big paw on it. Josh Tewes, John Ludke, both tipping it back and forth to each other. John, one of the best shots on the team, elects to grab it and throw back. So you're going to see Paul Liu with his hand up. Big pop there. Josh and John both tipping it back and forth. They're just slowing it down. And once one of them sees the disc presents itself, one of them is going to just grab it. And it looks like John is securing it right there and slows it down and catches it.
So now we saw a nice catch by Shuttlebot there. They initial hit of the disc, and then Carter came and made that catch. So hopefully they'll start getting those. They've been so close. They're stopping the disc. They're just not getting that catch.
Absolutely. And, you know, sometimes the hardest part is popping it up in the air, and it gets super frustrating when you pop them in the air and they should be caught and they hit the ground. So we'll see if they can bounce back and keep their morale up, because the last thing you want to do is hang your head and then slip down by a few more points.
This is who they want throwing for sure, Carter.
And the lefty thumber gets ripped. Paul Liu, another huge palm. Adam Swanson bats it back to Josh Tewes, and Josh Tewes, captain of the Appleton Assassins, will be throwing back with that secured catch. And it looks like the score is 13-5 in favor of Appleton
So,
Assassins.
Nick, there's an example. You always don't want to catch it necessarily. That was a good example of Paul just getting his hand out there to hit it up so that the team could catch it.
Absolutely. And here's Josh Tewes with that lefty back hand. Throws it. Al Nettle able to secure it. Yeah,
Okay,
you're right. With those, sometimes Paul thinks that other people on his team have a better shot than he does, so he doesn't necessarily want to throw it back. So he'll just pop it up, and he trusts his teammates to be able to swarm that disc, secure it, and make the catch. So even if he can catch it, he likes to let them do their thing. So here we're going to see a righty backhand from Al. I feel like we've been saying that a lot. Hits John Ludke, who digs it out, tips it around to himself a little bit, and secures the catch.
So I think we're seeing a good display of guts here by the Assassins.
Absolutely.
Their defense is just impeccable. When they get that disc up, they definitely know how to surround it and make that catch.
And you can tell they feel really good about themselves, because as you build that confidence, you can kind of trust your teammates and do more of the passing, whereas right now Shuttlebop wants to just secure the catch as much as possible. Here's a righty backhand, throws it at Al Nettle, pops it up. Keenan Jackson unable to chase that one down. Looks like we have got a score of 14-5 in favor of Appleton Assassins. It looks like Shuttlebop is just struggling to find a weak point to exploit from the Appleton Assassins. So here comes Al, throws it back. Josh Tewes, Adam Swanson, both mark it, say it's high. Shuttlebop seems to think it's low.
Scare.
So the teams are discussing. So the two captains will come out and discuss it. We do have passive referees, so the teams are encouraged to make their own calls. But if they can't decide, we do have passive referees or observers who will come in and make the call.
And
So
you
here's
saw-
an example of the observers coming in.
You saw there on the replay how it was just going high. It looks like they both gave good marks, straight outstretched, and the The disc just flew right over the top of it. It looks like it may be high.
And
We'll
the,
see what
and
they
the
come up with.
observers agreed with you there, Nick. They thought it was high as well.
And I'd say that's a good call by the observers.
So again, there's the example of the throwing team must throw it within that rectangle or that zone of the player. So in that case, the throwing team didn't give the catching team an opportunity to catch it. So the catching team gets a point on that.
And here's Alex Tews, throws one.
And that one wasn't so obvious.
Yeah, Shuttlebop marks it high. And it looks like Appleton is going to agree with that. And that gives Shuttlebop 6 points. And we are at 15-6 in favor of the Appleton Assassins. Shuttlebop will choose Carter Nettle to throw back. You'll see Alex Tews rip it very fast, but not quite accurate enough. Just past the outstretched fingertips of Will Blau. So here's Carter with his lefty thumber, aiming for his guy, hits Josh Tews, and the wind kind of picked up there, so you saw it dance a little bit, didn't you, John?
Yes. So now with that, the points are 22, so a division of 11. So we'll see the team switch sides. So now not only is Shuttlebot going down the other side, but they're against the wind now.
And we've got 15-7, and we'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back to Rotary Park in Livonia, Michigan for USA Guts World Championship. In progress, we see Game 1 of the best-of-3 series between the Appleton Assassins and Shuttlebop. The score is currently 15-7 in favor of Appleton.
Game up to 21. Appleton Assassins made their way to the finals through the winner's bracket, and the Shuttlebot got here through the loser's bracket.
Josh Tews rips his lefty backhand. Al Nettle gets a little piece of it, but it goes flying out the back. He's unable to get enough of it to give his team some time to swarm that disc.
So at this point, Nick, I think they really have to be surgical in what they're doing. They seem to be wanting to hit Paul Liu.
And you'll see he got just a little piece of it, but the disc is just flying so fast past him that no one's able to make a play on that one. So we've got 16-7 in favor of the Appleton Assassins. Al Nettle throws it. Appleton calls it high.
And they agree
And
for a high
Shuttlebop
shot.
agrees. You will see here, they stick their arms up, creating that box. The disc goes right over those fingertips, very close, but just a little bit too high. 17-7's our score, and Appleton Assassins are leading. You're going to see Alex Tews with his big backhand throwing back. He hits Will Blau, who swings at it. Just a little chunk of it. Man, Alex Tews has such a smooth shot there.
So the wind has definitely picked up in the last 10 minutes or so. So it is becoming a factor, and right now it's behind the Appleton Assassins, assisting in the Frisbee speed a little bit.
And a lot of the times when you're down by a bunch, you take a few more risks, and you'll see Will Blau throws at John Lutke, just one of the better players on the Appleton Assassins, but he's just trying to find something to get them some points, which he does. And it's 18-8 in favor of the Appleton Assassins. John Lutke throwing his backhand here. Lets one rip low on the outside hand of Al Nettle, and that just hits the ground. Al unable to track that one in there. You can tell Al's a little frustrated with himself. He's getting a lot of play time here. It seems like Appleton Assassins have found their guy that they like to shoot at. And that brings our score to 19-8 in favor of the Appleton Assassins. Here comes Al with his backhand. We'll see who he wants to pick on. He throws it between Josh Tews and Paul Liu. I don't know who got first contact, but Josh Tews is going to get the catch.
So right now, Appleton really just needs to get that disc in and score some points and go on to the next game.
And you'll see Shuttlebop, although they may not be able to dig themselves out of this hole, what they want to do is get some momentum, get a few catches, get them going into the second game, and then start fast in the next game. And here's the lefty backhand, popped up. Keenan popping it to himself. Will Blau pops it up a couple times. Keenan hits it again, and it hits the ground. Man, those are frustrating plays when you know you have it secured and then it falls.
Let's see the replay. It looks like the wind got a little factor in there.
Yeah, that was just a great pop by Will. Looks like he lost it. Keenan plays with it a little bit. Will gets back in the play. You'll see the wind kind of picks up there. It just rolls past his fingertips, and he's unable to secure that catch. So here's Will, throws another one. Alex Tews looks like he was leaving early, and Will Blau caught him trying to take off. The score is now 20-9 in favor of Appleton Assassins.
So now we have game point in Alex's hands. Appleton's got to feel pretty confident right now.
And you saw that Will threw that cross court. See, that's one of those riskier plays. Since he lined up on one side, threw it across the court, he's trying to deceive the Appleton Assassins, which worked. And Alex Tews ends the game with an ace. You'll see him cheer. The teams give each other high fives. Get ready for game 2.
So right now, Nick, the Shuttlebots really got to go in and talk about their strategy to try to get this turned around.
Absolutely. They need to get something going for the next time. So we'll be right back for game 2 of the USA Guts World Championship Finals. And welcome back to the USA Guts World Championship. We are in the finals, and we just had the first game with the Appleton Assassins winning. With Shuttlebop, we've got Will Blau, captain, Carter Nettle, Alex Nettle, Stephen Dudenis, Connor Poyanen, Kyle Suvanto, and Keenan Jackson as their lineup. And then we've got the Appleton Assassins. We've got Alex Tews, Captain Josh Tews, Adam Swanson, John Lutke, Paul Liu, and Ben Nomenson rounding out their lineup.
So one thing we have, Nick, is the Shuttlebot from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan is a young up-and-coming team that has been kind of on the rise over the last couple years, and a very well-established team in the Assassins. Multiple international Frisbee and world champions.
And Shuttlebop consistently in the top 3 finishing at tournaments. Only 1 or 2 wins under their belt as far as tournaments go, but they're looking to sniff out that next win here.
So we're in a 2 out of 3 match. Assassins won the first.